Hello, today is the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time. Our first reading is from Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 4 to 5, and verse 17 to 19. Our psalm is Psalm 71. Our second reading is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 31 through chapter 13, verse 13. And our gospel is from the Gospel of Luke chapter 4, verses 21 to 30. Our gospel today says that Jesus passed through the midst of them and went away. Now, what does that mean exactly? Through the midst of the crowd. I wonder if he did it like the Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman does, all sneaky and shifty, dodging through the defensive backs the way that he does, through the midst of the defenders. Or maybe it's like how Gronk passes through the midst of people, more like a bowling over, a crashing through, a knocking down, shoving smaller defenders out of the way. You gotta love Gronk. I have football on my mind today because later on they're going to play the Super Bowl. And for those of you unfamiliar with American football, the Super Bowl is the championship game. It's always on the first Sunday of February, and it usually features the New England Patriots against some other team. Now, the league, the NFL, is nice, and they let the other teams take turns playing against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Heck, sometimes they even let the other team beat the Patriots like the Eagles did last year. But the Patriots are in it more often than they're not. It's just how it is. And for the rest of the country, and places that are not New England, this creates a difficult situation. In other places, their home team is not in the Super Bowl all the time. But as a fan, you still want to watch the game. But in other places, when you're tired of seeing the Patriots every year, you have to find another reason to watch the Super Bowl. You have to find a reason to get excited about it. And for many of us, whether we are a die-hard fan of our home team or just a casual sports fan in general, the thing that gets us fired up about the Super Bowl is the commercials. If you're not a Patriots fan, most of the years the commercials are the best part, the most exciting part of the game. We take our bathroom breaks, we refill our plates from the buffet, we go and top off our drinks during the actual game because we don't want to miss the commercials. And they always have great commercials during the Super Bowl. It's a source of pride for advertisers, I think, to have that awesome Super Bowl commercial that everyone is talking about on Monday morning. And they've had some good ones. Who could forget Betty White's triumphant return to television in the Snickers commercial? I mean, that's a Super Bowl commercial that has spawned a whole advertising campaign for Snickers, using multiple other famous actors in addition to Betty White. Or how about the kid who dressed up as Darth Vader and wanders around the house trying to use the Force to operate the appliances? And when he gets outside and stands in the driveway by the car and raises his hands, his dad hits the remote start on the car and it roars to life. Maybe the kid is Darth Vader after all. You know it makes his day. And my personal favorite, the E-Trade baby, who's giving stock advice through his baby monitor, and then he has his baby girlfriend that's talking to him through her baby monitor and accusing him of having another baby girlfriend, that milkaholic Lindsay. Cracks me up every time. You see, the Super Bowl commercials are very often the very best part of the game, the part that I enjoy the most. Now, I don't watch a lot of cable or network TV, and so I don't really see a lot of the commercials, but the Super Bowl brings them all together. Everyone gives their best because it's the Super Bowl. And all these great commercials that I really enjoy, it's because of the Super Bowl. Without the Super Bowl, they are just random commercials that I may never see. In fact, I probably won't see most of them. Commercials that will have no significance for me without the Super Bowl. And this relationship of one thing making another set of things significant is what Paul is talking about in our second reading today. Paul is teaching us that all the good and wonderful, amazing things that we Christians and that our churches do are significant because of love. Love is what brings them together. Love is what gives them meaning. Just like the commercial needs the Super Bowl to give it significance and context and meaning, our actions need love in order for them to have meaning. Paul discusses the spiritual gifts that are showered on all of us if we will but open our hearts and minds and let God in. These spiritual gifts are with us. They're in each of us, to different degrees, of course, but we each have gifts from God. But these gifts of prophecy, faith, charity, comprehension, and knowledge, without love, they're meaningless. And we all know in our hearts that this is true. We know if we are giving with a joyful and a loving heart or not. We know if our charity for a bum or a panhandler is out of love or if we are bitter about it. We know this as we're doing it. And we all know people that are full of faith, people who know the Word of God forwards and backwards, that fully participate in all the sacraments, even confession. Those people that do all the right things, piously checking off their Catholicism bingo card, but they are cold and loveless, mean-spirited and bitter. We all know these people. Some of us are these people. Without love, our mighty faith means nothing. We've missed the point of Jesus' ministry. If we don't love as Jesus loved, if we don't accept others as Jesus accepted them, if we don't welcome others as Jesus did, then our faith is all for naught. Christianity is supposed to be an outward faith, not an inward and interior one. Jesus said, "Go and make disciples," and he showed us how we are supposed to live and interact with one another. He taught us to love our neighbor, to respect their dignity and their value as a child of God. Jesus did not say sit and reflect on your own salvation and spend so much time and energy on your own soul that you neglect and forget to love your neighbor's soul. You see, all the good that we do in the world, if we don't have love in our heart while we do it, love for all of God's other creatures, no matter who they are, where they're from, or how they identify, without love, then all the good that we do means nothing. Just look at the March for Life from a couple of weeks ago. What should have been an affirmation of the sanctity of life for the unborn child has become a litmus test for how we feel about Make America Great Again hats. And the simple fact is that any way you slice it, no matter who started what, no matter what video you watch, who got in whose face first, who hurled the first insult, who made the first racial slur, the fact is that the Christians marching to promote the sanctity of life did not have love in their hearts for the people that they encountered that day. And the positive message that they were trying to convey is lost. Their good deed of standing up for the unborn baby, their faith-filled belief in protecting life from conception until natural death means nothing. It has no value because there was not love. All we can talk about is whether rich white kids in private school are racist or not. Any good that could have resulted from the March of Life is undone because there was no love at the March for Life. Without love, none of this other stuff matters. Without the big game, without what is actually important, it's just a bunch of commercials that don't mean anything. We cannot truly follow Jesus until we love our neighbors. All of them, even the ones that are different than us. Love is what gives everything else that we do meaning and value. It's really not as hard as we make it. It's just love. So what does it really mean in our gospel today when it says that Jesus passed through the midst of the crowd? I haven't really answered that question because I don't really know. But I do hope that later on today, Brady and the Patriots will pass through the midst of the Rams' defense in the same way. Remember to love your neighbor and go Patriots.